we celebrated our 100K users.
Oh, wow.
March 2019. And then COVID happens.
Yeah. The world changed.
The world changed. And one day I remember that we went through all of the scenarios, like what can we build to generate some revenue? And I remember like there was one thing that didn't change. It was Juan, co-founder of Gronda and Domus Lab. Gronda is the largest platform for chefs in the world with over 2 million users worldwide. And Domus Lab is a new project that I started here in the UK where I want to support founders in their journey from 0 to 1, getting them out of the ground and supporting them in the process with all of the learnings that I had from my first ventures. People are really building sustainable businesses from the really early stage, which is surprising. The mentality of the founder has changed completely. And I think what we used to see of probably 10 millions doesn't matter now, 42 multiplied, that's, I mean, at least that you have an AI in your domain.
Yeah.
That has changed forever. I hope at least.
You have different revolutions, right? So you had the agricultural revolution, then came the industrial revolution, then the technological revolution. Today we're sitting in the AI revolution. And every revolution, some jobs were lost and many more jobs were created. Walk me through this new venture, by the way.
Yeah.
So what was the reason? I mean, is it because you saw a shift in the market and like, I mean...
No, I mean, I started with this.
Juan, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you also for not asking me too many questions on LinkedIn, because I know you asked for a structure, and I did tell you this is an unstructured podcast, just so that hopefully this becomes like a free-flowing conversation. And really, the premise is me getting to know you, not from that perspective, just from a business perspective.
Oh, that's great. I was actually nervous, but to be honest, I was able to manage it.
Good. So Juan, I mean, the premise, obviously, you know, the foundation question that I really start with is, you know, you're in the UK, why you're here, and where are you originally from? And like, walk me through that journey. Like, when did you move here? How did you move here? And why the UK?
So how long do we have here? Now, back in 1990, no, honestly speaking, I was born in Venezuela, Caracas, in the 90s, lived there for 10 years, moved to Spain when I was 11, 12 years old, studied high school computer science, moved to Austria to finish my studies in computer science. In science, I lived there for another 10 years, where I co-founded Gronda. And then from there, I decided to travel for 2 years around the world, really to get inspiration, especially from chefs, other founders. And one day I came to the US, met who is today my wife, and we continued to travel together, end up in the UK, and we fell in love. And she was talking to me and said, well, we need to find a way to actually go to the UK. And in the process, I applied to the Global Talent Visa through Tech Nation. And we got the visa a few weeks later. And here we are. I came to the UK in 2025.
So you fell in love with the UK, not your partner?
We both, actually.
Okay.
Now, really, for me, the UK was an eye-opener. I was living in Spain. I was living in Austria. And when I came to London, especially for me, was an incredible opportunity where I suddenly felt I belong here, even though I've never been in the UK before. I felt that I was able to do incredible things in the city, even though I didn't know anyone. But I think this is what we're going to talk today.
You know, definitely we're going to talk about this today. And it's so interesting. The more people I speak to, and again, my own personal experience, somehow when I also landed in the city, I just felt home. It's so strange. And again, for me, it was a perspective where, I don't know, like I've lived in Dubai all my life. Obviously, I've got my family there and friends and so on. But as soon as I arrived here, I also didn't know anyone. I also didn't come with a partner even. Like I was just completely alone. I don't know. It's the energy, the vibe, the people, the city, the different. It's a huge melting pot. Just so many cultures. I was also exploring America, by the way, before I came here. But I don't know. It's just a feeling. I can't explain it. But the more people I speak to, I get the same answer. I don't know if you have an answer to that, because I'm trying to figure out like what is it about this city.
I don't have an answer. I mean, I think I'm in the process of discovering what's the thing that London has. When I came here for the first time, for me was just the possibilities that a city can offer you, right? As I said before, I come from a small town in Venezuela. I come from a small town in Spain. I was living in a small town the last 10 years. And the possibilities you have professionally speaking, especially me being a professional driven person, were really limited. So when I came to London, somehow everything was new, everything was possible. It felt like there was no limit. And so really when I look back and when we decided to come to London, it was just about that, being in that scenario where the only limitation is yourself and not the environment where you are. And by the way, I love the places where I have been living in my entire life. I try to come back every time that I can to those places, but London had that thing that I get up in the morning and I feel like, well, what are we going to achieve today? And that's something that I only felt in the US as well. So my wife is from Miami. We were in New York, we were in Miami. We felt that, but I thought for us as a family, the UK was the next step.
I didn't know your wife is from the from the US, and that's quite interesting, by the way, because a lot of people now, I mean, you must have seen on social media, a lot of people are talking about, oh, move out from the UK and go to Dubai or go to America or go to. So I think you've done the opposite. I mean, technically, even I've done the opposite because I came from Dubai to here. It'll be nice to hear
For the opposite.
Yeah, it'll be nice to hear from you as well. So, I mean, if your wife is from America, so why didn't you then just move to America? Like,
I think it was a combination of things, right? For her and for me, professionally speaking. She's in the fintech space, in tech, startup tech. So we saw the UK. We really believe in the UK and what the UK has to offer. I know that things are a little bit like moving around the world, different in every place. Everything's a little bit complicated at the moment, but we really believe the UK has that thing that for us, at least for the next few years. And I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen.
I think it's really interesting you say that because I can resonate with that, but it's also, I think, really important, especially like I said, like, I mean, social media, like every second or every other post that I see now is like people talking about comparing UK to God knows how many cities in the world. In my opinion, the grass is always green on the other side. I think that is one element, but also living or have lived in different parts of the world. For me, at least, that is a superpower of thinking, oh shit, now I can compare. Now I can properly compare. And you can never compare a city or a country just by visiting it from a holiday perspective. Only when you've lived assessed. And especially if you're migrating to a country, there's so many checks and balances that you do. Like so many boxes have to tick before you say, okay, this is the city. So I think it's important for us to have that narrative and that, and again, I don't think anything is a perfect scenario, but if I just, logically compare all the odds, I mean, there's nothing beats London for me.
I mean, maybe the weather is something that we should discuss about. No, but jokes aside, I think I agree with you. Nothing to add on that and that comment, because you have that feeling of a small town. So you can go to any other villages that you like, wherever you like in London. There's a village for everyone. But then on the other hand, you can get out of that and really go into business mode.
Yeah.
And meet the most incredible founder stories, startups. You can get that in London. While on the other hand, you can on Sunday to a random lake and feel like you're in the middle of Austria, kind of. So you are able. I mean, I think the UK and London specifically has that possibility, and I think that's what got my attention: the possibility to go fast and slow as I please.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think, I mean, I was in Italy just on the weekend. And I think that's also pretty interesting. Like, okay, shit, like you can explore the whole world, at least Europe, like so quickly, like an hour or 2 hours, like you're in different countries, and everything just changes from a cultural perspective as well. And I think that is why London is also such a great melting pot, because it has that, it's just everyone from everywhere. Like you're able to learn from so many people. Different cultures, different religions. I mean, everybody looks different, talks different, even the accents. I don't know. It's just so
100%. When I started my first company, I remember that we had at some point, I think, 10 nationalities in the team, and I was so proud about it. Like, I think we were all proud about this part, right? Like having different nationalities in one team. Now I have all of my friends are from a different place in London. You can pick one person; they will have 2 nationalities, 3 languages, and their backgrounds are completely different, from India to Germany to Spain and Venezuela as well. So I think that I guess we're going to get more into details about the cultural part, but I think that only bring benefits for yourself. Being able to surround yourself of people that are slightly different to you, but still bring you up. I think that is something that London has to offer. I mean, you need to search for it, right? Like you can also find the same in Madrid, but I think London has a possibility for you to really find that relatively easy.
Yeah, and I think if you look at, the strongest economies in the world as well. I think immigration has been a big catalyst to that, right? So I mean, it's the inflow and outflow of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at countries, cities, and then companies, they just benefit from the diversity. And that is why London also is very big on D&I, like, I mean, diversity, inclusion, and all that. I mean, when I first moved here as well, I was just like, oh, wow. Like I mean, Dubai is very multicultural. But when I came here, I was like, oh, wow, like this is like next level, like for me. And to be able to learn from each other. And I think especially the startup ecosystem, I mean, like I was just mesmerized with all the opportunities that you're able to create. If you look for it from a culture perspective, but also from a business perspective.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think one of the million on that piece, I think when you bring this to a company piece, I always thought that a problem can be solved in many different ways. And a problem can only be solved depending on the lenses that you're wearing. And if you all have the same culture, we all come from the same place, like we are all Germans or all Spanish, we are always going to solve the problem the same way, right? And you just need to go around the world and see how people build buildings, right? At the end, it's 4 walls and a roof, but everybody builds the building differently. The same happens with a company, the same happens with society. Everyone brings a little bit of a different perspective, different lenses that you can apply to whatever problem. It could be life, but now we were talking about companies, right? Like, this is something that I believe, this multiculturalism and especially London, bringing everybody together. And what I'm super surprised is how people are open for it. People are extremely open for it. You go to other countries and people are a little bit more, you can find different arguments, pro, against, but London is just completely open. And for me, that was a positive shock in a way, to learn something new, actually.
You know, what was shocking for me, and I don't know if you had the same experience, like when I first came, because, yeah, I mean, it was also a positive shock for me, because when I first came, I was like, okay, so how do I blend in? It was just like, oh shit, like I need to become more of a Londoner. I need to become more British. I need to become more like them for them to accept me, and then for possibilities to open. But I think it's the complete opposite.
I think
it's a complete opposite. Like, it's crazy.
Like I just got goosebumps, because the point is, one of the things, please correct me if I'm wrong, as an immigrant, in any country you go, you always have this problem with identity.
100%.
Where do you come from?
100%.
Who are you today? Like, are you Venezuelan? Are you Spanish? Are you Austrian? I mean, I was 10 years there, right? So in some capacity, I felt Austrian in a way. Now in London, who am I? And I think it was the first time, and I think that goes back why it maybe felt like home. It's because it was the very first time that I felt I belong somewhere, in a way, because everybody's different and no one is from here, but everybody's from here.
Yeah.
So that problem with that identity issue that I have as an immigrant, wherever I go, that I want to blend, I want to be the same, because they're going to judge me and they're going to feel different. And I never had that here. And that was for me such a realization moment, because I realized, okay, if I don't need to be like everybody else, I don't need to blend, I can be myself. And that moment, when I came to London, I mean, I say London, but it could be anywhere in the UK probably. When I came to London, it was just really, it was a shift in my mentality. And I think it unlocked something that I didn't know I had. That I think I never had that before. Because if I go to Miami, in Miami, for example, I love Miami, right? Like I have family there, my wife is from there, but I always connect with certain culture. If I go to Spain, I connect with certain culture. In Austria, I need to become part of the culture, right? Here, it's just be yourself.
Man, it's so crazy, and now I got goosebumps, because I'm like, oh shit, this was just me a couple of years ago. And I think that shift. So I had a problem with a lot of things. So I'm like, okay, shit, my name. Are people going to be able to pronounce my name properly? Should I change my name? My accent, I was so conscious about my accent. Oh shit, I need to sound a little bit more British, So things like that. But then I think that shift, also that realization, when it came to me, I was able to then focus on myself. I don't know how to explain that, but then it also then allowed me to focus on things that were important. Okay, my growth, the business, this, I didn't take any energy. I didn't spend any energy on trying to blend in, because the city just allowed me to stand out. And that just changed everything for me. And it was just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in the process. Honestly, I just arrived, right? So I'm still in the process to really adapt my my accent. I feel like I could improve it a little bit more. Now after this, I'm gonna listen to myself in the podcast. Like, who's this Spanish guy? No, but I'm still in the process of adapting when it comes to language. So I try to include certain things. So for example, I like the word mate, and I say it a lot now, or pal, or whatever, right? So things that you only say in the UK. And then words, they will, over time, I think I'm just gonna get used to it anyway. But I think the city it has like every day you get up, and there is I think it's called pedestal, right? Something there where you can just get up and say, "Oh, today's my day."
Yeah.
And it's gonna be you who make it happen or not. I don't think there's anyone or anything stopping you, as far as I'm aware of, right? But it's only us, and I think it's going back to the first point of my conversation. Or the conversation was this place felt like only myself can be the one blocking what is gonna be the next, right?
I mean, the realization that I've come to already, and hopefully you get there very soon. Hopefully it doesn't take you as long as me, because for me, I had like a 2 years gap. I feel is because I came here and it was lockdown. So I also wasn't, so I just internalized that whatever I was going through, I didn't have the ability or the chance to really engage and meet with people. And I feel if I didn't come here in lockdown, maybe I would come to that realization really faster. So I really feel, and I know for a fact, like people here, like really, it's nobody actually gives a shit about your accent. Nobody cares how you look. Nobody cares what you wear. It's really on merit, which I think is just fantastic. Because once things just come on your merit, what you know, and your hard work, and I mean, then the playing field is leveled.
Completely. No, I completely agree. I mean, I think that's something that probably in the US is slightly different. I think people judge you a lot on how you look, especially depending on which coast you are. And especially being in Miami, I remember like, no, you need to look in a certain way because you need to blend. That's how people are going to see if you're successful or not. When I came to London, I tried to project the same. Like, oh, I need to dress really nice, and I need to come like if I own the entire building. Today I was dressing for today's podcast, and I said to myself, just gonna go out. So I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, and if they judge me because how I dress or what I wear or what I don't wear, like that sounds like a damn problem. And I think that's some of the things that being in the city like this and realizing that only myself can block me from being the next best version of myself. You need to go through that.
Correct.
You need to go through that. It's not what you're wearing. It's actually what you're able to
bring to the table.
And what can you bring to the table? And yeah.
No, I mean, hopefully, I know, like I said, there's a lot of negativity going around in social media, but I think it's important for people to hear from people like us who've lived and who are living proofs of the difference that we see in London, because we can compare it. There's so many comparables that we have.
But I mean, negativity, that's always the same. Like, if you go to my parents, in the time of my parents, there was also negativity, not in social media, but in the news. My grandparents, I mean, I can tell you stories that they're incredible. Like, really, like they marry in Africa because they could not marry in south of Spain, and they needed to take a boat for 3 weeks to Venezuela, right? So everybody had something in their life that was hard. And yes, if you open the social media and see whatever the algorithm wants to show you, then you're going to have a really bad day, my friend. And I think it's important to really abstract yourself from all of those issues and really focus on what you really want to do and you want to build, because only those who are able to do that will actually do something in life. Otherwise, you're going to be always afraid and expecting to see what's going to happen in the world on whatever social media tells you, and then you're going to be a spectator of somebody else's future rather than yours.
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, life ultimately is all about perspective as well, right? It's really your perspective and what you can and cannot control. Like, you really cannot control the external factors. The only thing you can control is this internal. You can only control yourself and how is your perspective.
About that. We forget about that sometimes.
Well, I think most times we forget about that because the external is just so loud. But I think internalizing that, I think, is super important. And really, I think it's really important and a big advantage for people living in the city. Like, you're able to have this space in London, in a city like London, because like we said, I mean, I'm living proof. Like, I know people don't give a shit. Once I realize that, okay, so immediately I should shift perspective to me internally. So how can I work? And like you said, like how can I become a better version of myself tomorrow and the after tomorrow and after tomorrow?
Yeah, no, completely. I think for me, that was a few months ago when I went through all that path of who am I, why am I here, like who do I need to impress, which is dumb, right? Like I only want to impress two or three people in my life, which is my parents and my wife, and my dog, by the way. But he's easily impressed. No, but jokes aside, I think like who am I wanting to impress? No one. Like it's only about myself, and if I impress myself and I work on myself, then I don't know, whomever likes it, great, and whomever doesn't like it, well, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
And I have a dream, and that's a dream I'm gonna follow. And anybody else, it's irrelevant. And I think people, as I said before, people forget about that. And I think London gives you that possibility. As a city, it allows you to make mistakes. It allows you to meet people that help you move forward, people who also attract you, and you need to be really aware of your time and with whom you want to be.
Yeah. Talking about possibilities, you're here, you're building a business. So was there a strategy behind this? So okay, you wanted to move to London, but you wanted to move to London specifically because of the business?
I think London was a result of many things.
Okay.
When I was in Innsbruck back in 2020, I remember that it was locked down. I remember everything was completely locked down. So I went to Brazil, and Brazil, like I arrived and people were like, "Oh, COVID? What is that?" And for me, it was a really shocking moment because I was like, having the last X amount of months in my room or in the mountains. Those are the only two things you could do, right? Or sneaking in and kickboxing because that was the only thing we could do, and run to your house and the police cannot catch you. But when I came to Brazil, I remember I spent a month, and the first time I was really like, okay, now we are not in Innsbruck anymore. Let's move on around and discover what possibilities are around in the world, right? Like from Brazil, I went to Mexico, then the US, and somehow I realized early on that I was in a journey about myself and figuring out who am I and why am I doing all this, connected with my company. And at some point in the process, I decided, okay, I want to move to a big city. Now that I have been in Ciudad de Mexico, which is a wonderful town, Sao Paulo, Miami, New York, I was like, okay, I need to leave what I used to call my home, and I need to grow. Let's put it that way. It feels like, or it felt at the time that I was already reaching, or I reached at a point that the maximum of my capacity in that area, right? And at the point, I remember I went to Madrid for a month and a half. I went to Berlin for a month and a half. And when I came to London, it was just obvious that if I really wanted to grow to the next step, if I want to be in a room that it's going to be hard to reach all of the space of the room, I need to go to a bigger place, and that was London. And in addition to that, it aligned with my family's future, and we decided to come here. There was nothing similar, nothing even comparable to what London was offering.
So why did you get into this line of business? I mean, we all love eating, but did you also love the experience of I don't know, cooking food? Like, I mean, are you a chef by trade? Like, I mean, why this line of business?
No, not at all. I'm a computer science engineer. My entire family love cooking. My father is an amazing cook. My sister is an influencer. But really, what happened was that one day I saw this message from a guy, and I really empathized with the message because I have been in that situation. Met the guy, and he became my co-founder. He was pretty much asking for help. He was like, does anyone know how to develop? I need support. And we went for a beer, and it happened. Spent a weekend in his hotel and just strategizing how can we do this. And after the weekend, we built a company. And initially, Gronda, which was the first version of Gronda, was a recruitment platform. Oh. So we were trying to help his parents recruit people because the German market was having a really quite an exodus of people, like really like hotels were closing because they didn't have enough staff. So he said, okay, there's nothing digital at the time. Let us build something to support them. And that was 2015. From there until COVID time, we were just having a recruitment business.
Oh, wow.
And it was not really about food or anything. We were just really targeting chefs to get the best chef in the world, or in Europe at least at the time, into hotels and restaurants.
But you were targeting chefs.
Yeah, we were targeting chefs.
Okay, so it was a niche. Okay.
It was a recruitment business. So we were helping hotel and restaurants in the DACH region, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and bringing the best chefs in the region into different hotels and restaurants, helping them with this shortage of staff.
Got it. So then there was a pivot or like an expansion. Like obviously, okay, I didn't know it was specific. So you kind of had the base.
Yeah, we had the base. So at some point we realized that people obviously change jobs once a year.
Yeah.
So people would not coming back to our platform. And at that point we realized, okay, we need to have something that keep them coming. And on top of that, we have the jobs, right? Like the job boards and everything. And it was content. We started building a little bit of content. It was everything was self-built. So we will go to the chef and in similar setup, but really all the time, roll inventory, we will have like a camera and help the chef, and we will create videos. And that was the very first version of our content platform. It was just, we were producing our own videos with local chefs. And that started to grow until, I don't remember, like 2019 March, we celebrated our 100K users.
Oh, wow.
March 2019. And then COVID happens.
Yeah. The world changed.
And if you think about who our customers are, these are hotels and restaurants. You might imagine what they told us in March 2020. They told us that they're not going to pay. And I would never forget that, because we were on a trip. We are 3 co-founders, and 2 of the co-founders, so me and another guy, son Tobias, we were in the US. And Valentine was supposed to join us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then suddenly he calls us and says, they're going to shut down the country. We were like, what are you talking about? That no one shuts down the country. They're about to do that.
Wow.
We're like, that makes no sense. Yeah, you're something's going wrong with you. It's like, no, for real. This is not a joke, guys. Please, we need to get serious. And in that moment, we say, okay, so how are we going to handle that? And I remember like Tobias in one side doing the all the financials to see what's going to happen I remember he was like, okay, worst case scenario, we drop half of the revenue. I was like, no. Worst case scenario is 0, man.
0. Yeah.
That's worst case scenario. No, how can that be worst case scenario? We're don't want to drop to half, like 0. And then I remember that we went through all that. We were like somewhere in the Keys. And at the same time, sadly, my other co-founder we made a decision to fire half of the team.
Yeah.
He fired around 15 people that day, people that we just hired like a week ago. So that was really hard. It was really, really hard. And from one day to another, we just didn't have a business.
Oof.
We had 0 revenue. Luckily, we closed right before that Christmas. And it was a really tough situation, because suddenly you have what we consider at that time like 12 people that we're going to go to war with them. Let's see what we can get. And we all change our hats from, we're going to be an amazing startup. We got investment, to suddenly we're in war. And let's see what we can do in the next 2-3 months, because after that we have no company.
Wow.
And one day I remember that we went through all of the scenarios, like what can we build to generate some revenue? And I remember like there was one thing that didn't change. It was the usage. Actually, it did change. It just grew.
Oh,
people were using the platform.
Correct.
The content.
Correct. Yeah.
The people, but because people decided to post more content,
Correct.
people decided to use the app more, and we were like, "Whoa, what's happening here?" And I remember one of our employees said, "What if we just place a paywall and see what happens? I mean, we are dead anyway, right?"
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, I don't know. And I remembered I went to my computer. I coded the entire thing. Like in another time, there was no such a nice solutions as you right now. It's a few lines and you have a paywall, right? At the time, there was nothing like that. And in a matter of a few days, like 2 days, we had a paywall and we made our first revenue.
Yeah.
People pay for it. We were like, why? Why are they paying for this? But they pay. And I remember that we started to build features and add more features and, try to make it a little more appealing for people. And in a matter of 12 months, we were in $1 million revenue.
No
we
way.
doubled, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but we almost doubled, if not double, the previous business.
Wow. That's, you see, It's crazy to think like, especially when times are tough, money is scarce, your brain just goes into creativity,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you just try to make things work. And it's the complete opposite when, there's sometimes a lot of abundance, teams are bloated,
Completely.
you just have too
You don't want to
much,
take
you
risks.
just don't want to take risk,
Yeah.
risk appetite reduces. It's just,
But I mean, that what happened with us. I mean, at the time, I remember 2019, maybe we were in that situation, right? It's a business that is growing. We just got investment. We could have always shifted to the B2C space. We create a marketplace, we could have done all that.
but why?
Why
Yeah.
would you risk everything? You're just hiring people. Also, a lot of ego plays there. I mean,
Correct.
at least I can
You
speak
don't
for
wanna be wrong.
myself. You don't want to be in the position of, suddenly being a 15 people team and that's enough. And that has been enough for a long time. You're in 30 something people. That's what you tell you tell my mom or my dad. I'm like, they are super happy. They tell everybody. And, you tell my friends and they're like, oh, wow. It's ridiculous. We go back to what we were talking before. Like, no one cares.
Yeah. Because ultimately, I mean, if you really think about business fundamentally, what is important is really the bottom line. I mean, yes, you've got, I don't know, 70 people, but if you're burning cash every single day, and the market has also shifted, by the way.
Yeah.
The risk appetites, like if you look at the investment world, in general, the market has shifted, the appetite has changed. VCs are also looking for, if not profitable, like viable businesses. Business has to be viable because ultimately the business has to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you are burning at a certain stage, but if you're not making money, if you're not able to generate value for stakeholders, shareholders, whatever, like really, like what are you really doing?
But I think people didn't realize about that until quite late because especially from 2020 to 2023 approximately, even 2024 almost, people were just in spending mode.
Yeah.
And no one really took serious about that. Nobody actually took the measures and the conscious decision of let's build sustainable businesses.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have to say, one of my co-founders pushed for that early on in the time. I think 2023 somewhere, we had this strategy meeting where he says we need to become profitable, and that was like that doesn't make sense. Like,
Why?
We have money, like let's grow, right? And I think it's because he was really seeing that negativity in the VC space, like we would not get money. People are, money is scarcity now, and we decided to become profitable in 2023. And obviously that was at our expense, right? You kind of 3x, 2x every year and be profitable at the same time. So we did a really good job, and in a matter of a few months, we became profitable. And now it's a business that runs by itself in a way, right? Like you don't need external capital, and we're extremely happy. We are one of the luckiest ones because now the business, it's really healthy. Let's put it that way, right? I mean, those were conscious decisions against what any VC will tell you. No, we want to hire more people and spend more in ads and do this and do that. But that's for whom? It's for them, it's for us. Like, like what's the purpose? And I think we made that conscious decision of becoming profitable. And I think that was the best decision we could have done as a business.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and also like, when you talk about raising, depending on, what aspiration you have for the business, but really if you're raising, it's also a very good position to be in raising mode when you actually don't need the money. That's also
that's great. Yeah, that's amazing because then people start asking you.
Power position, like it's a very good position to be in, and then you can also pick and choose who you want to take the money from.
You can reject.
You can reject.
You can reject
your evaluations. You're like, everything. You have just too much control, from that perspective. Even your, not just evaluation. After that, when you're closing the deal terms as well. There's a lot that plays when you don't have money in the bank and the runway is running out every single month. Oh my God. Towards the end, it comes to a place where you have deal fatigue. Just like, okay, just yes, close because I need the money in the bank, So, it's a very good position to be in.
Yeah, 100%. And I think now we're talking about companies that already have millions in revenue, but I think that also changed for bootstrappers or, seed level companies. I've seen it a lot now, especially now in London. People are really building sustainable businesses from the really early stage, which is surprising compared, I don't know, to 5, 6, 10 years ago.
100%.
I think the VC world has changed completely. I honestly, I'm not a VC person. I cannot really tell you where it's going to go, but the mentality of the founder has changed completely. And I think the what we used to see of deploy 10 millions doesn't matter now. 42 multiplies that's. I mean, at least that you have an AI in your domain.
Yeah.
That has changed forever. I hope at least.
And I think, I don't know what your thoughts are, like why this has happened, but I think fundamentally, maybe two triggers. One, obviously the global downturn in the economy. And because of that, the risk appetite has just reduced in terms of investment. But also, I think the AI, like we know it's a tick box, but the reality is fundamentally AI has changed the world. 2 years ago, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and today how we're building products. I mean, it's you can deliver and ship and just do so much more with so much less and at so much faster speed. It's fundamentally, I think what really now is a true catalyst or the true challenge is the attention, like distribution,
Completely, yeah.
prioritization, ideation. Okay, fine, whatever, like even building a team. Okay, attention. How do you grab that attention? So I think founders now have not the leverage, but I think it's harder if you've been building 5 years, 7 years, and now trying to shift that. So there's like a fundamental shift you need to go through. But if I was to also start a company today, I would definitely think.
I love this topic because I can tell you, without mentioning companies, a few friends of mine, for example, they are not hiring anymore. They have 5, 6 people that are their core that been with them from years, and everything new comes from AI.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I remember at the beginning when OpenAI and the first ChatGPT and whatever, I remember I was saying, no, this is not going to take over developers. It just doesn't get the context. And I was really wrong. 2 years later, I'm like, okay, I was really wrong, honestly. And if you look at now, people are not hiring.
Yeah.
So you only want to hire either junior people that you can shape, and with AI they are they have superpowers, or really senior people that are really okay, I know with this guy I can really more or less set up everything, and with AI I have different agents, I can do anything I want. And you said before that they change, the shift in early stage founders, and I think it is exactly what you mentioned before. In 2020, if you will get $1 million in seed investment, for example, 2 million, what would you invest that money in? Probably building the product, and a little bit of marketing, maybe half marketing and product. Today, you don't need that right now, right? I'm telling you, the other day I coded an entire website for my sister, and it's an entire system that we built in over a weekend. Build a demo, did 10 calls, we got 10 demo users. Not a single developer involved.
Yeah.
And it was over a weekend.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I'm really busy, and I just sit down 2-3 days, build that, and got a few users, start getting a little bit of feedback here and there, and you have a company in a weekend with one single guy. Now, obviously, if you want to grow that, definitely you need to deploy some sort of people. You need to deploy probably a senior person that speed up, because at the end it's true that AI is not producing the quality that you will get from a senior person. I think it's more of a junior developer quality, at least for me. If somebody else has a different opinion, please send it to me, because I would like to learn from that. But now you can build companies overnight, and that has changed the rules and the entire game.
Yeah. And I don't think it's just if you were wrong. I think we were all wrong, because and how could we be right? I mean, thinking about, you have different revolutions, right? So you had the agricultural revolution, then came the industrial revolution, then the technological revolution. Today we're sitting in the AI revolution. And every revolution, some jobs were lost and many more jobs were created. So it was logical sense when you were in the agricultural revolution and you moved into the industrial revolution's factories, you knew, okay, maybe these farmers are going to lose their job because now it's moving into factories. But who would have thought that we're in the technological era, and the people who build technology, software engineers, they will also have a threat to their jobs. It's crazy to think about. So how could you have been right? I mean, I was speaking to my CTO. I don't know if you know companies like Bolt, lovable, So I was speaking to my CTO. I'm like, wow, like it's crazy to think, first you had software engineers and then you had no code platforms, right?
Yeah.
And now, oh my God, like you just need to put in a prompt. And this is today. What's going to happen in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months, in the next 2 years? Like
it changed by day. It changed by day. Now, so, like 6 months ago, you could not add images and it would just be prompt. Now you can add entire Figma. In a way, it's exciting. In others, it's scary because it also forces us, technical people or founders, to rethink everything.
100%.
And I mean, you need to be in a way visionary now, suddenly, and think, okay, where is everything going to go and how you need to, I mean, that's the CEO role for sure for every company, but also for their own engineers. And they need to now start rethinking, how am I going to be working in this industry in 5 years? And that's late. 5 years is late. Now you can use with a prompt, you can build an entire architecture in AWS.
Yeah. I saw, I don't know if you've seen this, but I saw NVIDIA's CEO a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago or something, saying, back in the days we used to tell our kids, okay, become software engineers. And now don't put your kids into engineering. No, like the world has changed,
I mean, I would still teach my kids to learn coding just for the sake, but more in school rather than going to university and learn that. I mean, 5 years ago, I would have said, no, please go into some sort of engineering. Now I'm like, I don't even know if I want you to go to university. I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen.
I think product and being visionary is super important. Product is important. And then that attention piece, because everything in between can be taken care of.
I mean, even if you think about distribution, now you can generate, you can create 1,000 agents that act as influencers, build their own audiences. Again, as scary, as exciting. I don't have one of the, what was the name? One of these spheres ball to the future to really tell you what's going to happen. But I'm trying with my team, with my current team, I'm really trying to help them go towards that direction. And I think it's either you adapt or you die in a way. And I would like to challenge, I don't think it's the Industrial Revolution, or I think it's like when we discovered fire or something.
Yeah.
Not really. Like, I mean,
it's so true, man. Yeah.
We are at a stage in technology and in product. We are in a stage in our lives that every job that we know will change. Every single job.
Yeah.
The CEO role.
Yeah.
Probably this podcast could potentially become a super smart agent talking to me.
I don't know if you saw this, but
probably already exists.
Stephen Bartlett actually posted something today.
Oh, really?
You see his today's post. Oh. He posted an entire podcast, AI generated. An entire podcast.
No.
Yeah, you should see his post today. So just talking about that, like literally every role. And
it was already too late. Somebody already thought about this.
But it's also very interesting. Like anything you're thinking of, it's crazy because somebody else is thinking already building.
100%.
It's scary, but also very interesting time to be alive.
And you know what? I mean, you asked me about London before, right? Like, I mean, we're connecting a lot of dots right now. I don't want to make it too confusing, but you asked me about why London. This would have never been for me a topic, being in a small village somewhere in the world. Like you will be worried about something completely different. You will be completely isolated of what's happening. The same way that what we are talking today is not going to be the same what someone is talking in AI in Silicon Valley, right? You asked me about why I came, and it's because you need to go where the action is.
Yes.
And right now, London is one of those places. And I think we would not even have this discussion if we will be sitting
100%.
somewhere else. I don't know, say South of Spain, which by the way I love. But probably we'll have different type of discussions.
100%. And I 100% resonate with that. I speak to my CTO and my exec team as well. Like the speed at which we're moving. I mean, let's talk about AI. Like we're building tools with AI, and I still feel anxious every single day. I feel like, oh my God, like oh shit, I'm so late, I'm so slow, and I'm building. I'm building with AI. So I'm thinking, wow, the rest of the world, like it's just crazy how and when are they going to catch up? Like it's crazy.
No, and more interesting is that the other day I was listening to this podcast, I can't remember right now, probably my first million, and they were talking about that the way we use AI is like our parents used to use the phone number, like the smartphones or phones, right? Meaning that the kids, like the 15 years old,
oh man,
they use AI completely different. Is for them is their therapist.
Correct.
I remember yesterday I saw a friend, like she was like really like planning the entire trip on ChatGPT. And I'm like, even though I use ChatGPT every day, I wouldn't even ask to plan my trip. Everything, hotels. I was like, you don't even use Google anymore.
No, you know,
Which that's another
change. Can you imagine? Like how?
It went from, for many people, it went from Google to TikTok in a way, and now you're in ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is one of many, right? Like you can pick and choose, but that's, everything's changing, and it's super exciting, honestly. And also that means if everything changes, that means also opportunities. And chaos brings also opportunities. So I think it's about really being on top of the curve and trying to see what's happening and try to, get an opportunity. But the kids from today, they have a future that we would not even dream with, because they can now build companies with 15 years old.
Yeah.
And they were saying the other day in one of those podcasts, like, as well, like, we will see in this generation the first billionaire under 18. And I mean, it's hard, but it can be true.
Yeah. It's crazy. When ChatGPT everything first started, I remember the first couple of months, Sam Altman said something, you're going to see 10 people unicorns. But now, quite recently, people are talking about 1% unicorn. Why? Because you've got so many AI agents. Like, it's crazy. And the next generation, I always thought that, I'm never going to be like how I am, like the disparity between me and my parents. So they don't know anything, because I'm in the technological revolution, like how? Like, I can never have that much space, but I'm
welcome to reality.
It's like, oh my God, like the kids these days, because they were born with they don't know anything different.
No.
Like we're still adapting to the change.
Yeah, and I mean, think about what's this video with Jonathan Ive and Sam Altman. Like, they were going to start building hardware AI, like with AI. Probably our kids, so you're going to be wearing some sort of wearable thing that is going to be tracking the entire day. And you were asking about what I remember of my childhood, what I remember about building a company. That's gone. Like, now I can access it in some sort of, it's stored somewhere, and I can just access it. I'm not gonna lie to you, because my memory obviously built what I want to hear. And I think that's a wonderful and also scary situation, especially for, like, our kids are gonna be, we would not understand. And I feel like I became my parents.
Yeah. Which I never thought it was possible. No. But the speed at which everything is going, you see, like, oh shit, and that is inevitable. It's not just not only
but it is about trying to, how can I get, how can I not get too behind. So no, but I mean, really, like, back to the first point, like AI, and when we talk about changing, how is this going to change jobs? And I really think that this is something that is going to change everybody's life. I mean, it's already changing it, but I mean, for developers, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be a really, really hard situation for many of them, because some of them are not changing, especially seniors are, over 20 something, 28.
Correct.
They're not changing fast enough, and kids are going to come up and they're going to build things that seniors are going to be like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And they're not going to be able to adapt really fast. And sometimes I have these discussions almost daily with some of my guys, because I tell them, you need to stop doing what you're doing and learn this instead, because your job is going to change forever. And for me as a founder, I think it's slightly different, because the founder, I'm not the one coding. I will adapt. Or for the people, like really the people who love coding and love building products, this is going to be a complicated transition.
How do you have that conversation with your team then? I mean, there's a lot of change obviously happening. So these are not, I mean, I'm getting very excited when you and I are having this conversation now, but the reality somehow is different. When you look at team members and you look at, okay, now we're, companies are downsizing, companies are bringing in efficiencies, and you're talking about not just developers, but like, I mean, across the board, So you're already actively having these conversations. Are you prepping them with these? I mean, and how is it being received? And like how are you managing this?
I think the more junior you are, the more open you are for new things. So people are really eager to learn, and they surprisingly get really fast into any AI related topics. They also realize that AI is not there 100% yet to get the same results as their senior person. And the seniors, on the other hand, are a little more respectful, like they're, no, but this doesn't deliver what I want, and you're like, well, there's a middle ground here. We can start using it, because if it's not today, I mean, a year ago you couldn't even build with AI. So if it's not today, it's going to be in a year.
Correct.
So you really need to get used to utilizing AI. It's a transition, and I think what we are doing is right now with my current team, we have a specific branch in the company where we really like develop new apps and new projects. That's in Lomo's lab, right? So I build new things that I really want to push forward, kind of like venture studio, but finance by myself in a way, and with the guys. So we every now and then we build a product and we push the product and we try to do with AI. So with that, what I'm trying to do is prove to them as well that we can build with little resources.
Okay.
And with the learnings, we also give that to our customers. What we learn doing our own apps, we build that, so we give that to the customers, right? And for the seniors, it's a learning process. For them, it's taking longer, but they realize eventually that, well, I could have like 3 juniors doing the work for me, and I just need to check it, right? Like it's pretty much 3 agents doing 3 different things.
Yeah.
So it's a learning process. So I do it with hackathons. I do it with specific projects that I want to push. For example, the other day, we were talking about building this nutritional app for one of the customers, and they were like, "No, that's complicated. This and that." And I built it over a weekend. Just a demo, works beautifully. Design, really, really nice design, and they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. They were like, "Did you do that?" I was like, "Yeah, that was over the weekend." And started with Lovable. Then I moved to Coursera.
Yeah.
I built a, you need to learn how to use it because I spent all of my credits in an afternoon. Need to pay more, but I was able to prove them that this is a future, and now I think they are starting now to realize and start to adapt a little bit more. And now, for example, whenever I want something done and I see that everybody's really busy, PR with a AI code, and they just add a few feedback and done. It goes online in half an hour versus maybe a half a day or a day that we will have to.
Walk me through this new venture, by the way.
Yeah.
So what was the reason? I mean, is it because you saw a shift in the market? And like, I mean,
no, I mean, I'm a really creative person, and I'm not a really operational driven person either. So I'm on one side, I love building. On the other hand, I'm not the best operator, and it's not where I can get the best out of myself. Let's put it that way. And I wanted to help founders, especially in this transition period. I think building a startup, people waste a lot of money in nonsense.
Yeah.
I have seen people working with, especially many agencies, that they tell you they need to over-engineer and they just plug and play whatever they have, and suddenly you have a completely mess, and you need to live with that, and that costs money, right? And it can cost the dream of someone. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to change a little bit how people start companies. And the only way I can do it is with technology. And what I did was I was able to really create a group of really good engineers. So I always have a team that I always nurture, and somehow they brought their friends. And I was able to build a team of 5 in like a month. And we started helping companies here in the UK and in the US and Canada. And what we do is pretty much using AI, help them from 0 to 1, like really to support them in the process of building the MVP, but also like how can you build a product that really sticks, and not just, oh, this is tech, there you go.
Yeah.
Really helping them with the process and potentially even setting up everything for success so they can hire a team. Because I don't think a startup will always stay with me and building products. So it's not an agency per se. I really see myself as a product lab, or that I really utilize these resources and my knowledge to help people build things that is a dream. It's a dream for them, right? And I don't want them to waste money and time with some of these large agencies. And so that's more or less the idea how I started. And to be honest, I've been going really great. More and more founders are coming and asking for support, and I see myself sometimes as a therapist in a way, and I support them in getting people into their teams, or strategically how can they position their product, or how can they build from product and also technologically speaking. And I bring my team, I change a few things and pretty much set up everything for success for them.
So walk me through the process. So 0 to 1. So mostly people are coming with ideas, just ideation stage, or some people also have a product and then they're saying, okay, listen, both. Okay.
Both. I think I work best when they already have something.
Okay.
Because I like that. I like that mentality. So first of all, I work with companies that I like. I have said no to companies because it's not about the money. It's really about, can we build something together?
Yeah.
I want to feel part of a success. And once you have something, right? Like I feel like, okay, this person have really pushing. They even have some revenue, so they already see, and I see sometimes the potential of, oh, I code this with AI and I don't know how to grow it. Can you help me? And it's like, don't worry about it. I like your mentality. So usually they come with something, right, already built, and we just help to set up the basis, right? Like we do an audit, we check, and we really help to, okay, what do you need to reduce the amount of bugs online, and how can we then, once we have that, how can we improve certain, I don't know, numbers in your app, right? Sometimes they come and they don't even have KPIs, they don't have anything. They don't know, they make, I don't know, 100K a year and they have no numbers. And you're like, okay, maybe let's go to the basis. And we start working on, what's your North Star metric? What are your retention numbers? And do you have any, I don't know, metric inside of the app or inside of the web? Do you have anything? Sometimes they have nothing. And it's just not even about technology. It's about really like setting up those basic knowledge to help them then scale, because then sometimes they don't even know where to focus on. They focus literally everywhere. It's like, do you have a bucket full of holes and you focus on this big one and you focus on the small one? In all of them at the same time. So they feel like octopus. It's the first they found it, right? And that's fine. I love that mentality. So I help them to change that mentality. Okay, how can we focus on what's the most important and what can actually have an impact in your business tomorrow?
So how we talk about prioritization, but then we spoke about attention as well. So how are you now grabbing that attention? Like how are you finding your customers currently?
That's a great question, because I don't even have a sales team or anything. It's just a word of mouth. It started with 1, 2, 3, 4, and a few months later, I have a bunch of customers. And honestly, it is just word of mouth. So I believe that if you do an incredible job, you don't need to sell.
Yeah.
If you're the best, you don't need to sell ever. And since I only work with people that I like, and I tend to have this good connection human to human, I'm able to see in the first day if our relationship is going to work or not. And as long as I'm right there, I think more people will come and I will be able to help more people. Now, longer term, I don't know where this is going to go. I do know, but I don't want to be an agency. I don't really want to go in that direction. I think it's going to be a 50-50 between helping companies where potentially I will invest in companies and help them. So I will invest. I will try to support them getting off the ground, while I also have my own ventures that I have pushed myself.
Got it. So it's not just like you said, it's not just an agency.
Oh.
I mean, you're also advising them. You're somehow like a incubator, accelerator, which also helps you with product in a way.
Yes.
And then tomorrow,
I cannot help you with I cannot help you with distribution. So I'm really clear with what I can help you. So I'm not going to help you with distribution. That you need to figure that out. I think one of the hardest pieces, even with AI, is building a real good product, because AI would build a bunch of lines of code. But people forget that the lines of codes are going to be used and consumed by users. And that gap, I think you mentioned before as well, that gap is extremely important. And I think people tend to forget that you build for humans. And I find extremely fun and joyful, like to be able to help to reduce that gap. And in the process, I mean, I grow enough that I can invest and I can support you in the process. This is a wonderful.
Cherry on top.
This is a great job.
Yeah. I
would not take my job.
I was actually going to ask you, so what is the future looking like? But you've kind of touched on that, but maybe you can expand on that. So what's the future looking like? So let's say 3 years from now, considering where the space is also moving, we spoke about how fast AI and everything else is moving. So what's the future looking like for your ventures, considering where the space is moving?
That is a wonderful question that I'm in the process of discovering. I started with this sort of product-led agency. I mean, you know what? Let's remove the agency word. I'm just going to be agency, but with a headline like that. I really want to continue helping founders. I want to continue building my own products. And at the end, I just see this 50-50 world. That's the most ideal, that's a beautiful world where I can support founders and I can bring teams that can support them, whereby I can also build my own products. And that Honestly, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I just don't know. I was trying to build something nice to you, like episode. How can I sound really smart about it? Like, you know, I do have that vision, right? If it's like, but it's just like I see the image in my head. I don't have an answer, right? Like, honestly, I just arrived to London, and in these few weeks, months, I have been able to build this. I think there's no way I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
And in 3 years from now, probably we're gonna be having this podcast in a yacht.
Now we're talking.
Now
We're
we're
talking.
No, but money aside, I'm kidding. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. I mean, I struggle a lot about that. I really struggle a lot about it, because sometimes you get like, oh, the money. Oh, I see myself, but it's, you know, when I get up in the morning, and when I go to the park with my dog, you know, have a coffee with my wife, and then spend 6, 7, 8, 12 hours doing something I like. So if you ask me where I'm going, that's where I'm going. What am I going to be doing in 8 hours? In those 8 hours, I don't know.
You know, and
Building.
I think, yeah, no, and that's really important, by the way. So especially for the younger people now who are now moving into the space, you know, a lot of people are trying to have all the answers before they start. And I think it's really important for people to hear this from someone who has been building for some time now, and now you've got venture and a new venture, but you're in a space, and thank you for sharing, because a lot of people maybe somehow feel the need to have an answer, but that is far from the reality, because the reality also is, especially at this current stage, how things are moving at speed. I mean, you could have a plan 3 years from now, but you will not know like how things change in the next 3 days. You know, it's just crazy.
When I think 2019, I thought we were like conquering the world with the recruitment business. 2020, I had no company, where I did have one, but, you know, almost about to die. Travel the world. Now here we are.
Yeah.
And what should I tell you? I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen next year. The world is crazy.
But that's
the only thing you can do is work on myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're coming full circle now, but that's also the beauty. I think the beauty of not unknown, and you know, of the unknown, and then detaching yourself from that and just focusing on what you can control, which is you.
It doesn't matter how much you have done. I think everybody struggles the same. What's my legacy? What am I going to be doing in 5 years? I met this friend of mine. He sold his business, multi-million deal, and he was depressed. He didn't know what to do with it. Like, yeah, well, I have money, and now what? And it doesn't matter. When you make $1,000 a month, you feel the same way that when you feel 3,000, and then you feel like, oh, I want to make more. Then you make 10, and you feel the same way. And then you make 30,000, and you're like, I feel the same way. Which tells me it doesn't really matter how much money you have. You're gonna feel pretty much the same way, because you're gonna have the same insecurities.
Correct.
It's nothing to do with the money. It's nothing to do with what you have achieved or not. You just need to have something that makes you wake up every morning. And I think for me, that was a realization. And I think for me, it's a process right now. Right? I probably should go to a therapist or something about that. Here we are. I think it's a journey, and someone has figured out at 18, and that's amazing for them. Maybe Elon Musk has figured it out by himself. Maybe other people have done. I haven't, and it's a journey, and I'm enjoying that process. And maybe it takes me my entire life, but as long as I do what I like to do, it would not be a waste of time.
I love that. One more question, because now we're talking about the younger people. If you were to now backtrack, you've now built companies, you've traveled the world, you've worked in different places as well. If you were to backtrack yourself, at the age of 13, 14, what would you tell yourself?
Don't be afraid. Like, I think just don't be afraid, man. Like, it's really like, go out there and kill it. We often think what other people are going to think. We often think so many things, and, you know, like, surround yourself with the people that can bring you forward. I always say, I mean, I don't say that, it's written somewhere in the internet, that you are the result of the closest 5 people around you. Surround yourself with good people, and don't be afraid. Just, that's it. Because we talked about that before. If you set your own obstacles, you will stop yourself for anything else. You will be your own obstacle forever. Like, you will just be no one if you don't work for it. So don't be afraid.
Love that. Don't be afraid.
Don't
Take that leap of faith.
Take that leap of faith, and you will fail.
Mhm.
You will fail. That's it. That's the fun part.
Mhm.
You will fail many times.
Mhm.
I failed last year. I failed 2 years ago. I fail every day.
Mm.
But if you don't get up and you're not afraid, and so if you don't get up and you're afraid, that's
Yeah.
gonna stop you from
Yeah.
from achieving anything you want.
I love that. This was fast. It was fascinating, interesting, but more importantly for me, very exciting, because we spoke about a lot of new things that's happening. I mean, what a time to be alive. And really, I mean, I wish you all the best. I think you're doing a fantastic job, especially, helping founders. And I think that's super important. I think it's also part of paying it forward. I think it's really important for us to build that and help that founder community, because there's just a lot of good that comes out from building businesses. Again, it's not for everyone, but I think it's really important fundamentally. It's very difficult and it's a very lonely journey, as you can appreciate. So the more people that come in and start helping new founders do a little bit better, I think that's fundamentally important. So I wish you all the best. And like you said, perhaps it's good 3 years from now, we will be on your yacht. And we'll be doing this podcast take 2, and I'll be talking about all the amazing things that you do.
I mean, if we do that, that would be great, no?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
this time you go to Maya.
Absolutely.
You go to Maya, bro. It's gonna be Mallorca or something. And I think it's a great place to be, right? Cannabis Hut.
Well, yeah. I mean, we spoke about London weather. Everything is great, but the weather. So if you skip this weather. But yeah, no. I mean, I wish you all the best. You're doing a fantastic job. This was an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you so much for inviting me. All right.